say.
Sweet. Alright, so right now we're just going to YouTube. We're kind of live. So we're on my YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter what we're doing. This is episode 1.5. Welcome. We're just eating Cadbury eggs.
Easter's upon us.
It is, actually. I was born on Easter.
Where are you?
Diaz is actually a holy man. I try to tell people that. You know?
Holiest of holy.
Nazareth, you know? That's, you know?
Super
I was
holy.
born on Easter. My brother was born on Palm Sunday. It's fucking crazy.
It is crazy.
There's Jesus up in this motherfucker.
I don't have a holy birthday.
You know?
I share a birthday with Bob Marley
March 31st.
and Axl Rose.
Every 11 years, my birthday falls on Easter. And
That's dope.
The last time it fell on Easter, I was in jail. And my brother came to visit me because it's both their birthday. Someone got stabbed, and they closed it down. And I didn't get to see my brother on my birthday. Thanks.
Damn. Somebody had to ruin it for everybody.
Ain't that a bitch? Gotta wait till I'm 33. What the fuck?
What the hell?
What the hell? I'm just trying to enjoy fucking Easter with my brother.
In these shoes.
In these fucking times.
In these shoes. So we're live right now.
Yeah.
On
YouTube.
Beyond Top Secret Show. Freeze.
Yep.
Diaz.
Diaz.
How you doing?
These are fucking like addicting.
They are. I think it's rude to eat them while we're talking.
Why?
Because they're just like hard objects
Whatever.
that make weird crunching noises at first. And it's just offensive to the ear. But anyway, we've been dipping in and out of different channels today.
Create your own fucking Cadbury eggs.
Alright, I'm sorry.
This fucking
I offended this man.
chair.
About these aren't even Cadbury eggs. If it was a Cadbury egg, I would have been smashing that.
What the hell do you mean?
Cadbury egg is soft. No.
Cadbury mini egg.
No.
Milk chocolate with a crisp sugar shell.
But a normal,
motherfucker.
a traditional Cadbury egg, what people, is chocolate shelled and has a soft filling.
Yeah.
Usually cream, which looks like a yolk, because hence the egg.
But this, in addition to your favorite Cadbury Easter candy, enjoy Cadbury Dairy Milk, but no, it's a different thing. Whatever. It's
You know
fucking
what?
crack.
This is all just high talk.
I gave this man a lollipop.
Yo, let's talk about something serious. Unrelated to music,
Come on.
unrelated to Facebook.
Miller.
Ty Freeze Mentio, Dave Nazario.
Diaz official.
You could,
Look there.
Beyond Top Secret Official is the page on Facebook, or you can follow us on Instagram at Beyond Top Secret TV. Or is it Beyond Top Secret Official? I can't remember.
Beyond Top Secret. Fucking look it up.
We'll find us. We're the only Beyond Top
We'll
Secret
figure that out. We'll get that down and pat.
on Instagram. We'll figure out which one it is. It was changed.
I got whiteboard up there. We're gonna start putting shit down.
It may just be.
We're gonna get this all together.
It may just be Beyond Top Secret Official still, because we did change the name. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry for the confusion on that. We should have been more prepared for that. But
You know who he is.
are you familiar with the case of the West Memphis 3?
No.
No, you're not. All right. I'm
I'm
gonna give him.
You can tell me this story.
I'm gonna give a brief summary of this, and we can talk about it for a minute, because there's a lot. Since you've never heard of it, it's crazy. So I have to explain it actually in depth. So I think it was like 92, 93, 93. These three 8-year-old boys were hanging out. They took off on their bikes in their neighborhood in West Memphis, Arkansas. And if anybody knows anything about those times, I was too young. I was like younger than they were. But anybody that understands those times, like there was a lot of satanic panic going on. And people, police forces and FBI and the media really putting out this image of satanic cults deep in the crevices of America, influencing our children and doing satanic rituals and causing mayhem in towns across America. So, um, at the time, these three boys decided to go ride their bikes in their neighborhood, and they never came back. So people immediately started looking for them within hours of them being missing. Obviously, their parents and all that stuff, and there's a lot of suspicion over the years. It's fallen on the parents, some of the stepfathers. I'll get into that. I'm just gonna tell you what happened first, and then we can talk about the actual facts of what actually happened, fill in some of the details. But so the boys go missing. There was a Robin Hood Hills. There was this in the neighborhood. It was like a dead end that led to Robin Hood Hills, which was like the stream that went through running water.
Okay.
And they ended up finding the boys inside the water, like they were naked and they were bound with their wrists tied to their ankles, bound like almost like military hostage style almost. Like when you get a POW, you know what I mean, and you just hog time kind of. And there was a movie made about this called The Devil's Knot, and there was also 3 documentaries. Paradise Lost on HBO, which caused so much stir, and is really the reason that, fortunately, the people that were accused, that we all know that know the case, did not do it. I think they spent like 18 years in jail, 17 years in jail, or something like that.
That's fucked.
A long time.
That's fucked.
Yeah. So this is what happened. So the police couldn't find a suspect, even though they had many. The same night of the boys went missing, a male had walked into a Bojangles restaurant at 9 p.m. The boys were reported missing at 6:30, and a search party started looking for them. At 9 p.m., described as an African-American individual, walked into a Bojangles covered in blood and went into the women's bathroom. And they called the police, and he had left before they had showed up. The female officer on the scene, was also reported to the buyer's house, who their son had been missing. He was one of the boys that had gone missing. They had reported their son, and at that same time, she left there and went and responded to the Bojangles, and then took the report of the Bojangles from the manager, and didn't even go inside, didn't even collect blood, didn't do anything. She didn't even go do anything. Like, didn't put 2 and 2 together that maybe these boys are missing, and now I have an individual with a cast on his arm that was spotted covered in blood inside of a Bojangles restaurant. But she didn't decide. She took the report, but didn't go inside. She went through the drive-thru, and then she went back to Robin Hood Hills to continue looking for the boys. Which I understand, but like maybe stop, go inside, maybe collect some blood, get some people on the scene.
Yeah.
Because why is a man covered in blood in a fucking crying hysterical in a fucking?
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, and he's just one of many suspects. He actually makes the most sense to some, and he makes the least amount of sense to me. But I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, so they found the boys, and they looked like they had been mutilated in some way. And so the police immediately started thinking this was some kind of satanic ritual, because they'd been prepped through the satanic panic that was going through all the police departments and the FBI, and through the media.
So they just like assumed.
So they just
strange.
Yeah, they basically were like expecting something like that to happen, and they
Yeah.
just basically made it into something that probably
It was a weird fucking.
it was a
situation.
weird. All right, so you had these 3 kids: Damian Eccles, Jesse Miss Kelly, and Jason Baldwin, and I believe that's their name, right? Yeah. So they were just some teenage boys, and Damian Eccles was into like witchcraft and like listened to like Metallica, and same thing with Jason Baldwin. And Jesse Miss Kelly was borderline mentally challenged individual who like was operating at the intelligence of like a 13-year-old. You know what I mean? And basically they took him into custody. But they didn't take him into custody, so they picked up Jesse Miskelly, and they basically got a false confession from him saying that Damien Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and himself had murdered the boys and raped one of them, and then put their bodies in Robin Hood Hills in the creek or whatever. But the craziest thing about that is that he's mentally challenged. His dad gave the police permission to talk to him, but they didn't really give him permission to like interrogate him. So the police basically took him off the street from his father's house, brought him to the police station. He's 17 years old. I just want you to keep this in mind. He's 17 years old, and he's borderline. He's pretty much mentally challenged. His IQ was somewhere around like 72 or something like that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he, after like 9 hours, they don't record. The police don't record anything else in the interrogation whatsoever. Anything else that happened in their interview they conducted with Jesse Miskelly. Nothing. And then all of a sudden they turn the tape on and they got him. Basically, they're walking him through clearly this crime scene and giving him information and using suggestive persuasion to basically get him to confess to the crime because he just wants to go home at this point. He just wants to go see his dad. He just wants to go home and just go to bed. So he's like, all right, I'm just going to tell them what they want. So it's like, Jesse, were you here on the night that the boys were murdered? He was like, yeah. He's like, who are you with? He's like, it was me and Damien and Jason. And he's like, all right, well, what happened? He's like, what time was that? He's like, it was like 11 in the morning. He's like, you sure it was in the morning? He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, you sure it wasn't like later in the evening? He's like, maybe it was like 5. He's like, oh, you sure it wasn't like maybe later on? Because I know the boys were killed sometime after 6:30 because they were spotted at 6 p.m. I'll tell you something else about that.
Okay.
They're spotted at 6 p.m.
All right.
And they were riding their bikes at the dead end that leads into Robin Hood Hills. And approaching was Terry Hobbs, which was the stepfather of Stevie Branch, which was one of the other boys that was missing.
All right.
And he was spotted by one of the neighbors who was doing dishes, looked out her window, and saw him talking to the boys a little after 6 o'clock. Right? And he told his wife that he never saw the boys. And that he never found Stevie because he dropped her off at work. He dropped his wife off at work where she was waitressing at a diner for like 5 hours. And she wanted him to look for Stevie because Stevie was supposed to come home at 4:30 and she had to go work 5 to 9 at the diner. And when he picked her up at 9 o'clock, he still hadn't found Stevie. And then there was conflicting reports that said that he kept telling the police, but the police never interrogated him, and they never took his hair sample, but they took Pam Hobbs, the mother of Stevie Branch's, hair sample. Didn't take his, which is weird. And he
what the fuck?
He says
That's
that
crazy.
he says that he looked for Stevie. He said he looked for Stevie, but his friend says that he came over his house, played guitar, and then walked out and came back with a different change of clothes at 6:30 or 7
So
o'clock.
he saw the boys.
Somebody saw
lied
him.
to his
Yeah,
fucking wife
somebody
in
also
the same spot
and somebody
that they were
and
found.
somebody also saw him doing his laundry, washing his clothes that night.
Same spot that they were found.
Yeah.
That's where he saw those.
Wait, what?
You said it was at the end of the Robin Hills.
The boys were
That's
spotted.
where they were found, right?
Well, yeah, but it was in the woods though. But
Yeah.
they were spotted at the dead end leading to it at 6 o'clock with Terry
him. That's what
Hobbs,
I'm
the
saying.
stepfather.
That's what I'm
anyway,
saying.
Terry Hobbs was actually put on. All right, I got to get through the rest of the case first before I go back to Terry Hobbs. So the boys go on trial. Damien Eccles, Jason Baldwin, Jesse Miskelly, because of Jesse Miskelly's confession. Jesse Miskelly later recanted the confession when he realized it was going to be used against him and the two boys because they wanted him originally to testify against them in open court, saying that he saw them murder the boys. What he claims happened was, in his testimony that was obviously coerced, he claims, with coercion by the police, and we'll say that again, he claims that they started beating up one of the boys and they started screwing one of them, in his words. He said screwing one of them. And then Michael Moore, one of the other little boys, tried to run away. And Jesse Miskelly tackled him, grabbed him, and brought him back and left him there. And then he says he left, and then after that they were murdered. But he said he had left. And that's how you know this was a coerced confession because they were gonna let him walk if he testified against them. But he wasn't gonna do that because he knew that wasn't what really happened. He just literally wanted to go home. You know, the guy isn't operating at a normal intelligence. He just wanted to go home. He just told them what the hell what they wanted to hear. It's clear after going through the case. Their lawyers were unprepared. They didn't really know how to handle this case. None of them had really handled a murder trial. Nothing to this degree. The whole prosecution case was basically saying that this was all satanic ritual and that Damien Echols was some ringleader of some kind in a coven of witches and was performing satanic rituals and murdered the boys in a ritual for bloodlust.
Why did it fall upon him?
And they put Damien on the stand, which was so stupid. Because you got an 18-year-old kid who's like, yeah, I had a witchcraft book. Yeah, I wrote stuff about Aleister Crowley. So, he said he admitted to writing stuff about Aleister Crowley, who was a known Satanist. And like, so they immediately, people are going to be like, oh, he did it then. Yeah. He did it then. But there was no physical evidence linking either of the boys to the crime or the scene of the crime or anywhere near Robin Hood Hills. There's nothing linking them whatsoever. But what they did find was a single hair in a knot on one of the boys' legs that was tied with his hands. And in that knot was a hair that belonged to Terry Hobbs. Now, Terry Hobbs says, well, the boys came to play at my house all the time.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So the hair could have just transported from...
So he got off?
So the boys went to jail, and originally Damien Echols was sentenced. They were Jesse Misskelley was sentenced to life. Jason Baldwin was sentenced to life and sentenced separate trials. With Damien and Jason had a separate trial from Jesse Misskelley is what I'm saying. And Damien Echols was sentenced originally to death by lethal injection.
What the fuck?
Real fucked up.
Oh, no, dude.
Real fucked up. So all these people started realizing after the release of Paradise Lost, the documentary that came out on HBO, it's still on there right now. It brought a lot of attention because it just screamed that they were Paradise Lost. Right. It screamed that this was all being labeled on them and put blame being put on them just because they looked and liked certain things that were, considered to be not normal growing up in West Memphis, Arkansas. This was a very religious community. These are people of God and that would go to church every Sunday. So seeing somebody like Damien Echols, and even it's just his name being Damien probably just scared people.
Yep.
He had long black. He had long black hair. He wore he wore dark clothing. He admitted to being interested in witchcraft, but he considered himself to be a white witch, only practicing things that were good and never used. And he said he didn't believe in a devil. He only believed in like forces and stuff like that. Like he didn't really believe in a devil. But that's all hurt him anyway on the stand. His attorney should have never put him on the stand.
So did they do it?
So they appealed. They went through appeals. So many different things, and all they wanted to do was clear their name. Eventually, in 2013, I believe, they had to take an Alford plea, which basically says that they admit guilt, but the state is willing to let them go. Due to it's basically the state admitting that
he has to say he's guilty.
They had to admit they all three had to admit to being guilty before they were able to let go through the Alford plea. So basically, the state wouldn't accept their appeal as you're just innocent, we're going to retry the case. Because the original judge on the case, he just had some kind of hard-on for these three boys, and he just really believed that they did it. And he literally restricted evidence from the court. So many things that could have helped the defense and probably would have won the case, and he just refused to allow it into evidence. So many things. And then he allowed things for the prosecution into evidence that made no sense. Like putting a guy who said he was
I just don't get
They put a guy who said he was an expert on occultism and satanic cult. Listen. Right. Which guy?
The guy that we think that totally what the fuck is his name?
The guy that we think did Terry Hobbs.
Terry Hobbs.
I'll get into Terry Hobbs. I'll get into Terry Hobbs in a minute. Right. So
that's what I want to know.
They actually the prosecution put a guy on the stand in there to testify that said he was an expert on the occult and satanic evidence and stuff like that, like things in Satanism and occultism and the macabre and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the defense was like, where'd you go to college? And he's like, I went to this university. And he's like, this is the college mail-in. And it was a mail-in pamphlet where you could just pick whatever you want to get a degree in. You fill out some paperwork. And then they just say you're a doctor. If you just pay them. This was back in like this was in the 80s when he did it.
Oh yeah, I'm a doctor.
This is in the 80s when he did it. And so he's like you don't qualify. He's like, how could you qualify to be an expert or a doctor when you didn't go to a real accredited college? And the judge is dumbass, being from West Memphis. I'm sorry, just being a freaking just dumb, just falling into all of this and playing into it just being spoon-fed it and just playing into it. He already made up his mind they were guilty, which is not right. You're the judge. You can't you have to hear everything, all the evidence before you could just discredit one. He basically was playing for the prosecution side, and it's pretty evident. The judge, I wouldn't say he was paid off. He was just on their side from Jump Street. But anyway, the judge said, I don't believe that you have to have a degree in the state of Arkansas to be considered an expert on anything. The fuck?
Oh, all right. Well, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, all right. If you're like little Timmy Harris and you play with Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and like
you don't need a fucking degree.
You know everything about those Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but are you really a fucking expert on them? I would say the people that made them would be the expert. The people that made up the game would be the expert.
Yeah.
The people that like play the game are the expert.
Little Timmy, not little Timmy.
Little Timmy is a maybe expert of the game, but does he really know everything about them? I don't know. Maybe he does. But the point being,
I want to know about.
All right, so
asshole that did it.
All right, so
fuck.
So Terry Hobbs was never investigated. He was never even really.
Is he alive? Is he alive?
Yes, he is. Listen, I'm going to tell you everything about him. So, all right, Stevie Branch always had a pocket knife. Stevie Branch had a pocket knife his grandfather gave him, and he was in the Boy Scouts, and he took that pocket knife with him everywhere he went. And his mother, Pam Hobbs, thinks that he would have had it on him the day that he went missing. That pocket knife was found in the attic in a toolbox that belonged to Terry Hobbs.
Come on.
After the boys were murdered.
Dude.
After the boys were murdered.
What do you mean? America.
For real.
If that was me.
So check it.
Are you kidding me?
Years later.
24-hour lockdown.
Years later, the Dixie...
Rest of my life.
People like Eddie Vedder...
Shit stuffed up my ass.
Eddie Vedder and the Dixie Chicks were very vocal about this case. And the Dixie Chicks literally made a statement saying they think Terry Hobbs did it. He sued them in civil court.
I hate this man.
He sued them in civil court, but when you sue someone in civil court, they started questioning him about the West Memphis case. And his attorney started, and they also subpoenaed the arresting investigator on the case. And they made him come on the stand. And they just tore them all to pieces. The pieces. And Terry Hobbs was forced.
I'm so mad.
Terry Hobbs was forced to. He looked like an idiot, and he looked like he possibly could have murdered the kids.
Sure.
And he also had to pay the Dixie Chicks' lawyer fees, $17,000 out of his own pocket because he tried to sue them in civil court and he lost. So fuck him. Anyway, Terry Hobbs. If you look at
you did your fucking research.
Yeah, I know a lot about it.
You tell a fucking story.
The thing about Terry Hobbs, I believe he did it.
YouTube, you get the good stuff.
There's conspiracy. I don't know if it's conspiracy, but there's talk that's recently come out that Terry Hobbs was a bisexual man. And he had two friends that night that he was hanging out with. And they were buying weed. Because there was a guy that didn't testify, but there was a guy that gave a statement saying that Terry Hobbs came by with these two young guys that were like in their teens and like early 20s. And they were looking to buy weed. One of these guys later went to jail, and he confessed this crime while in prison, and nobody cared. And he told this story. I forgot this guy's name, so for that part I apologize. You could look it up though. You could find it in the case files. This guy says that Terry Hobbs and him were out in the woods in Robin Hood Hills, and they were smoking, and they started wrestling and making out and like doing some sexual.
Terry Hobbs and this guy.
These three guys, all three of them were participating in some kind of sexual activity. This is what this man said. That was one of the not Terry Hobbs, one of the other friends, while in jail. And he says that the boys happened to see them. Terry Hobbs didn't want anybody knowing that he liked men as well, being in West Memphis, Arkansas. And the story that he told says that then they had to murder the boys. That's just what this guy said later on while being in jail.
It's
possible. But then you go back to the guy at Bojangles, and then you also have this kid that was an ice cream man or something in the neighborhood. And he just acted really suspicious. He met Stevie one time, and when he was leaving, he asked for a picture of Stevie from Pam Hobbs. She just didn't think anything of it, so she gave it to him. I guess Terry Hobbs had him come over to do some work on the side, and they had a lot of food, so they fed him. And when he was leaving with his other friend, he asked for a picture of Stevie Branch, which is kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of 19-year-old male?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It'd be weird. It'd be weird
if we went to ask.
Yeah, if I'm just like, yo, can I have a picture
of your 19-year-old?
I didn't ask for a picture of your daughter, your whole family. Like, I didn't ask for a picture of any of your other kids.
Nothing. Just
Stevie Branch.
Yeah.
That's weird. But she gave it to him.
Have a picture of your son.
Yeah, can I have a picture? Yo, I don't really know me. Can I have a picture of your son?
Fucking weird.
Anyway.
Call that
He immediately, like a couple days after the boys. Holy shit.
Huh?
Our lights went out for a minute. Hold on, we're still with you. We just, for some reason, the studio lights are on a timer. Yep, and they went off. Anyway, so the boys, after the boys went missing,
got game really quick.
Yeah, after the boys went missing, he goes to California and gets picked up out there for something. I forgot why. And I guess the police had him for something, and then they wanted to question him about that case from West Memphis. So West Memphis called the PD out in California and asked if they could question him for them about this case. This is before they arrested Damian Eccles and Jason Baldwin and Jesse Miskelly. And he acted really weird and said like a lot of strange things that like could possibly just by things that he had said. No physical evidence, just by things that he had said. So he's another suspect in it.
Yeah, that's
but to me, and to the rest, you also had the other stepdad, John Mark Byers, who just recently passed away.
How many people are involved in this fucking shit?
He didn't do it.
No, but like how many people?
But originally,
Like,
just to point out how the cops just only focused on the other boys, they ignored physical evidence.
There's all this evidence.
Yo, the cops went back to the Bojangles, they collected the blood, but then somewhere along the line, they were so convinced that it was Damien and all them, they just got rid of the fucking DNA samples. Didn't even test it. Didn't even fucking send it in. They just were so convinced that they're like, we don't need to test this. And they admitted in open court, like, when the defense asked them, why didn't you guys collect blood from the Bojangles and follow that lead? Oh, we did, but we lost the evidence. They admitted it. Then they asked him, well, why didn't you?
That's fucking crazy. That's fucking bullshit.
They asked him about the kid
if all this information is known today, how come nothing can be done about it now?
So
Damien, you know what I'm saying?
Damien, Jason, that's what I'm saying. Something still needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin,
something has to be done.
Jesse Miskelly had to plead to an Alfred plea in order to clear their name, but it didn't clear their name.
No, they pleaded.
This killer's still out there.
Yeah.
There's still somebody who really committed this murder still out there. Whether it's Terry Hobbs, whether it's that guy at Bojangles, whether it was the kid that fled to California, I don't know. I'm not a detective, but just based on my evidence, everything pointed towards one of those three, and not the three that were convicted. You had so much other evidence that was linking like that was pointing towards these people, but you blame these 3 kids. I'm not gonna sit here and just.
I'm upset.
It is upsetting.
I'm upset.
What's upsetting is they still didn't get justice. They still had to plead guilty in a sense. And there's still somebody out there that probably committed this crime.
We have to pick and choose who the hell we make our judges. We have to do way better.
Oh yeah. We have to really like from everything, from our presidents to our judges, like
everything.
We have to stop.
We have to do better.
We have to stop. I have nothing against the older citizens of America, but we have to stop letting like senior citizens dictate and decide for the youth and the middle-aged and the rational thinking people of America. Because I mean, it's like this. Grandma comes to your house for Thanksgiving. She says some wild, crazy shit that may have been acceptable back in 1944, but like just doesn't fly anymore.
And how old is Grandma?
Yeah, like, and I'm not saying even like necessarily. I'm not saying even necessarily racist shit. She just says things that just don't make sense for how we operate today, and that's how I look at some of the people that we put in power in America.
I think that we should change the fact that you have to be 38 to be a president. Some people would.
I think there should be a cutoff.
We should change that.
We should have. If we're going to change anything about it, that I think at least have a cutoff.
At 35.
Have a cutoff on the age limit that you can, how old you can be to be president. Like you shouldn't be able to be more than 60 to be president, because then you're going to be 64 4 years later, and then if you run again, you'll be 68 after that. Like I'm just saying. It's not time for these people to be making decisions like that in their life. It's time for them to start winding down and enjoying their life. Retirement's coming.
Hitting a Bowflex.
Yeah.
You know
Retirement's coming. I want to hang out and just sip a freaking Arnold Palmer and play golf type shit. Whatever it is you do. But like, it's not time to start thinking like, hey.
Whatever it is that you...
I should decide the entire fate of America.
Wear musky clone. Do all that shit.
I'm saying this for every president we've had, other than Obama and like Kennedy.
No,
and every president. I mean, we've had good presidents, but I'm saying like
we need young people. The problem is younger people need to get.
Even George Bush wasn't too old.
I feel like this generation.
He wasn't quite too old.
Interested. More. I feel like the youth now will start being more interested in politics.
I think they should.
Than they were in our generation. The problem is our generation didn't care.
We left it up to old men to decide for us.
Our generation did not care about being a president.
We're like, let these old.
We're like, whatever.
Yeah, we're like 17. We were like,
we didn't care about politics. We were just fucking partying.
Wait, who was president when I was 17? I think it was Bush.
Look, we don't even know. We were. It
was George Bush Jr.
Like, fuck yeah.
It was George Bush Jr. I was like 17. He was like,
cracking beers. We don't give a fuck about
it was like right after. It was like right after fucking war in Iraq and like Afghanistan and all this stuff, and like it was like during the whole Bin Laden situation.
Yeah. George Bush when I was
17.
I was high school. Sorry, I was in 5th grade when like Twin Towers had it. Yep.
I was a freshman in high school. I just went into my freshman year.
Who the fuck was president? In high school. I can't remember.
Well, Obama became president. What? 2008. Yeah, he became president in 2008.
Who was the president before him?
Bush.
It was, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But like even they weren't too old. You know what I mean? They were like around the right age. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying I necessarily respect either of their point of views completely. I wouldn't say because one's a Republican and one's a Democrat. I'm not saying I don't identify.
I don't care about the politics.
I don't identify with parties.
I don't really care about politics. I just think we should have younger people.
And I don't want to hear anybody trying to convince me that I should because I can't. Not the way that it's run right now. I don't identify with any parties.
It's so much different. When we were younger.
Yeah, everybody has differences, but I can't find enough in common with either one to be fully a part of it. Anyway.
Fuck politics.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But anyway, back to West Memphis 3. Let's wrap this up on this.
Can we just
I don't know
That
what
guy
he's.
now.
I'm
Can
sure.
we all make a decision
I'm sure we.
to raid and pillage this guy's fucking house?
Yeah, I don't know what we could do at this point because this case has been going on for so long now, almost 20 years.
It's not a closed.
I mean,
case?
almost 30 years. I'm saying.
Or
Wait,
did they close the case?
Almost 30 years.
Now that they're
Almost 30 freaking years.
I'm gonna like shit a Cadbury egg tomorrow.
Yeah.
I ate so many.
The case is considered closed because the boys still pled guilty.
dying.
You see what I'm saying? It's still considered closed because they still pled guilty
Yeah.
in open court.
That's fucking sad.
That's horrible. But I hope they're out there and they're living good lives as much as they can now that they're out.
Yeah.
Because damn, dude, how many people do you think in America have gone to jail for things they haven't committed? So many. So many.
Yeah.
False confessions. Just being wrong place, wrong time. So many different situations of people just probably incarcerated that didn't belong there at all. That lost their
And
lives.
there's people that are still in jail that should be let out.
Think about
That's
if
true.
Damien Echols had been executed. Think about how fucked up that
I
would
keep
have been.
almost falling in this goddamn
Think about how messed up.
broken ass chair.
Think about how horrible that would have been if he was actually
I'm
executed.
trying to act cool. I'm like leaning, but I'm actually like I'm holding myself up with the foot and I'm falling all over the place.
But something for
Which can't
everybody.
be cool.
Something for everybody to think about. We'll be back again.
We will.
This is just episode 1 of
0.5.
1.5.
This is 1.5.
Yeah, this is 1.5 of Beyond Top Secret Show. Check in with us. We'll be updating frequently. We'll be going live frequently. We'll be doing it all.